Okay, so I am streaming. It is live. Uh, we're just gonna run with it and see how it goes. I need to have some streaming on Twitch also, like we did last time. Like we mentioned, we're gonna try to basically stream at least the first hour. Try to stream and just do the podcast episode so that way we can get that situated. I'll end up editing it to some degree just to try to switch it off so it's not um because it's gonna be a lot of extra stuff in there. So I'm gonna try to avoid having all the extra stuff, but I still need to have like the chat up and stuff like that for YouTube and then for Twitch also in case people are messaging, so I could have that double feedback, I guess, or just talking on it. But yeah, this episode is going to be spilling the tea. Um, just basically talking about the last 4 years that I had in the military out in Germany. I had the last video and I had comments on the last video of talking about a specific person. I don't want to say their names, but most people know who this person is. Um, wasn't liked, I'll say that straight up. The person wasn't liked, was very two faced, you could say. But to each his own, they have their own feelings towards it. But it's just talking about how we spoke about in the last episode. We spoke about the things that are causing people to get out of the military. So, there's a long list of stuff that happens. There's a lot of people that got out for multiple reasons. Just to like highlight a couple of them, we have, let's see, give me a sec. We have like having the wrong people in charge, uh, creating laziness or having laziness, the diversity aspect of it. What else do we have? We have just like how the changes have changed. Stuff has changed. It's not the same stuff anymore, but people still act the same way. Still childish. Still don't take care of things the way they should. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. But in the 4 years I was over there, um, it was an interesting time. I'll say. Hold on 1 second. I just noticed I got to do something else that I did not do to start off. Okay, so well, that first half at least I know it's on. It'll be on whatchamacallit, on YouTube. That whole thing will be on there. But we'll edit that video. We'll probably just leave it and just go through the straight up, just like leave it like that. But basically got to Germany in 2019, January of 2019. Snowy as shit, cold as shit over there. It was snowing. I didn't have a car. I got in processed, but basically they figured, I guess, hey, you're a staff sergeant, so you should be able to figure it out or rent a car and manage your way. Because most of the time they don't really give a shit when it comes to, you just got to be at the time and place you need to be. However you get there, you get there. Most of the time they don't really care how you do it. Um, they just figure, hey, you gonna make money back, so they be like, hey, you could just pay for it ahead of time. Uh, Luckily, I was able to, and I was able to afford it. But that's not the same thing with everybody, because you have soldiers sometimes that are like lower enlisted that don't really make that much money, don't really make that much BAH. You transitioning for the first time to a new place of duty, and it's overseas, so you already have a barrier with the language at times, and then you have issues also where you don't really see the people that you're dealing with till they're there because you have to go through the whole in processing of the place. So I got there and it was like at first I wasn't sure what was going on because I was going to a ammunition company and I'm a chemical soldier, so I didn't really think there was anything for me to do at that unit. Really, it was just gonna be I was gonna be the Seaburn guy, but at the rank of staff sergeant, it's kind of weird to just be thrown into the company like that. But it was something that was actually assigned to the company, so it worked out in that manner. I fell into some great leadership. And those names I will say, Matt Sabo and Captain Chris Jansen. Great leaders, great supportive leaders, took care of you, looked out for you. And those are the type of leaders that you want in the military. Those are the people that you want to work for. Those are the people that you strive to work for and you work harder for because you know they actually have your backs and they actually take care of you. So I'll say that for the beginning part of being in Germany, I was not hesitant. I was like, okay, I could do a couple more years. You know, you start thinking like, hey, I could do this time. I can look into it. I can move forward because of working for people like that. Because you know, if something goes wrong or something, they got your back. They ask you, hey, if you fucked up, you fucked up. They chew your ass out. But if you know you needed help and it was not on you and they try to put it on you, they had your back. So that's something that in the military people stay for reasons like that when they have leadership that does that. But one thing I do notice with the military is like the military does not do that consistently. The military has an issue where I don't know how the fuck it is that they do it, but it's like whenever you have one leadership, like you can have great leadership, takes care of you, looks out for you. It's like the army's like, nah, fuck this shit. These people are too happy, too good in spirit. Morale is high. We gotta fuck this shit up. And the next person that comes is usually the complete opposite of what that is. Not always, but a very high percentage of the chance that's how it happens. I don't know how it is that the military figures that shit out, how the army does it, but a lot of the times that's what it does. It goes like you go from having somebody that has a ton of experience that knows what they're doing as a leader to somebody that really didn't know what the fuck was going on with the situation. Like they didn't know what they were doing at all. So that goes into it like so I'm there, new soldier in processing. I meet one of my good friends, Nathaniel, Sing Song, which I am going to his wedding this coming week. So me and him, we both came from places where you know discipline. He was already in Germany, so he was already there. But it came from discipline where you know there was structure. Was could be toxic in places like most places in the army. You're gonna find something toxic. It's depending on how you deal with it and how well the toxicity is, which is a bad thing to say. Is like how bad is it? Oh, that's not that bad kind of thing. That's how some places in the military are, which isn't the best thing. But we recognized and we knew what was going on. We knew how to work with each other. We knew like, okay, it's either you gonna be in charge or I'm gonna be in charge. So he was the supply sergeant, so the company didn't have the supply didn't know what the fuck they was doing before. That shit was like all ate up, all messed up. So it took some time for them to figure out what was going on and learning from it. And he ended up fixing everything. Like this man did some work with that place. Like cleaned out the whole place and everything, and you just had it like that. It was that working relationship, but he was like my backup and stuff. Because sometimes it's like if I wasn't able to be at work or I got sent somewhere, he was the one that would take over. So the platoon went from a person that basically was a very, I will say, like flirtatious person that was in charge with females, um to then two stricter dudes, me and him, that basically weren't for the bullshit. It was like, hey, we took this. It's a job. It's my career. It's my job. I'm not gonna mess it up by some stupidity, just like trying to flirt with a girl just to like get her to do work. No, I was just like, if you weren't doing your shit, I called you out on it because it's like, hey, your job hinders my job. My job is to make sure you can do your job, but if you can't do it well or you fucking around or you bullshitting and you just think it's just gonna be like nothing to it, it doesn't work that way because then it's just like I look bad. I don't like looking bad. That's the one thing. In the military, I took pride in making sure that my shit was straight and I ain't fuck shit up. So if you were fucking my shit up and you were under me, I tried to help you and I tried to steer you in the way to make sure you were doing the right thing or just trying to teach you so you could better yourself so that it's better ways of doing it. A lot of people got stuck, like in the military, a lot of people don't like listening to people because they think it's just like, oh, he's just trying to tell me to do it this way. Sometimes it is like, do it my way. And then sometimes it's like, hey, this is the way I did it when I did this. Because it's like, I've been in the army longer than you have. I've done this work more than you have because I'm chemical. I wasn't really doing my job. I was doing everyone else's job. So I was learning how to do paperwork here, paperwork there, how to run awards, how to do leave form, how to do 4187s, which is like orders for authorization to go to school, DTS, which is the Defense Travel System. I was doing a lot of stuff, so I learned how to do a lot of jobs in the military while also knowing my job. So it made it easier for me to teach people because then it makes them more well-rounded. If you're more well-rounded in the military, it makes it easier. So basically, me being in charge of basically, I think it was like what, 40 something odd people, and it's just like that allowed you to like see, because the thing is before in Hawaii, before I got to Germany, I was in charge of like what, it was like 6 people, and then it went to like 40 something people. It's a big difference when you're going from 6 to 40 something, but the thing is they put that responsibility on you. The thing is I took that same way I managed those 6 people, but I enhanced it and expanded it to 46. Because basically it's the same thing. The same way you take care of people, the same way you talk to people, you look out for people, you try to make them better at what they're supposed to do, or teach them something that you see that they're weak at so that they get better. That's how you build the overall morale, and you build a better platoon or unit, because you make people better at what they thought they couldn't get better at or they needed work on. So it was a bunch of back and forth at first, because it was just like, I'm the new guy. Nobody knows who I am, but I'm very professional. Hey, parade rest, this and that, talking to people, correcting people. The first iteration I had with the soldiers, where it was like I was a no nonsense kind of guy, was we got there, we got to the unit, and maybe within like a week or two they were going out to the field. And I'm like, oh shit, here we go. Another place I get to where as soon as I get here, it's like we're going to the field or something. Did that in Hawaii. I got to Hawaii, I in processed it at 70 with 303rd, but then they moved me to division. I worked at the division company, but once I got there, literally that first weekend I got there that Friday. I got a call on Saturday like, "Hey, do you got your do you have your clothing and your gear and all that?" I'm like, "Yeah, all right, cool." On Monday, you getting shipped out to PTA, which is the I can't even say the damn thing. It's a training area, but the way they say it, it's a long name with a P. I have a T-shirt somewhere like, where the hell is, or where the heck is this area? Because it's on the big island in Hawaii where you're stationed in Oahu, so that's where you go to. But I got there literally that Saturday. That Monday, I was on a helicopter, my first ever helicopter ride, and I'm flying across ocean waters to a different island to go shoot guns. Great experience. I have videos on that. I should upload those and put those in there to just be able to show people so that they can see it. But you have all that stuff that happens, and then it's like we're out in the field. We're like, okay. So at first I'm just trying to see, because the thing is being here at Fort Riley, which I'm basically near again in Kansas. Um, excuse me. You're out in the field. You're training out in the field. You're digging a foxhole. You're digging a ditch for yourself and your battle buddy. That's where you're gonna sleep in, or that's where you're gonna be your fighting position and stuff like that. So I'm trying to see what they do here. Get to Germany, it's basically like Hawaii. There's no digging allowed. So I'm already like, okay, like the field is gonna be different here, because they don't do as much, I would say, like physical labor as it would be in like the stateside where you can dig in these training areas. Because Germany, you can't dig, so they didn't want you digging like foxholes, which foxholes is basically the area where you dig in. It's like basically digging in a ditch that you, well, the way we did it, or at least the way they taught it, it was a way that you would dig a ditch down in a slope, basically. So basically, you would cover yourself. So basically, you're not laying flat. You're laying diagonally, and at the back end, you dug a bit deeper, because that's where you would put your rucksack or your whatever your gear year was, and then you tried to dig another hole out the way, so in case it rained, the water actually flowed out of the foxhole. A lot of people didn't get taught the drainage part, because if it was gonna rain, that meant that you had a downhill thing where all your gear and everything was gonna get soaked. So if you didn't have it in a water bag, your shit was soaked. So you built it that way, and that's where you had your fighting position, and then you had to like literally fortify it. So sometimes it would be you would get sandbags, and fortify it depending on the environment. So if you were in a grassy area which had branches and stuff like that, you fixed up your fighting area to basically cover it, put some concealment. So basically the only thing that they should be able to see or wouldn't be able to see would maybe be the flash of the weapon when you were firing it in whatever direction. So that's something they taught you. So in Germany you couldn't do that. So that made it a bit interesting because you're like, I can't really dig, so I can't show these guys like how they would properly do it. So you leave it at that. And it was like, okay, it is what it is. But then it was like, okay, we're gonna do training. So everybody's like, okay, we're gonna do training. And I'm like, I'm Seaburn. I was just like, I could come up with stuff off the top of my head, do training because everybody had their pro mask because I made sure within like a week everybody had their stuff where everybody had a mask. So we go and we're doing some training. So it's like, hey, we're calling all the soldiers out to a certain area, like an open area, like, hey, we're gonna do some training. And there was two soldiers. I can't remember the damn soldiers' names, but they were two like they were kind of like knuckleheads. You could tell they were knuckleheads, and these dudes took their sweet ass time. So they took their sweet ass time bringing their gear because everybody was supposed to bring their gear, their weapon, and everything. Come lay it out in a formation style, like dress right dress, as they like to say. Basically, everybody line up their stuff with their helmet, their IOTV, which is their ballistics plates, and a weapon next to it, like that. We're gonna do some Seaburn training. So it took these guys. I think it was like everybody got there quick. So I was like, okay, everybody isn't here because I took a head count before, and I'm like, all right, now everybody's here. So okay, let's have everybody show up. And these people took, it was two of them. They took 10 minutes to get there. So I was like, oh, okay. So fuck me, right? Y'all don't want to listen to me. I'm the new guy. Y'all don't give a damn what I'm saying. Okay, cool. This is how we gonna play it. All right, since y'all wanted to take y'all time and waste my time and waste the rest of the company's time here when we're gonna do some training, what y'all gonna do for the next 10 minutes is y'all gonna take your gear, do 2 push-ups, take your gear off, do 2 push-ups. Put your gear back on, do 2 push-ups. Put it on, take it off, put it on, take it off. Because it's like you didn't know how to get your gear in on time or get it on time to show up to training. You didn't know how to take it off on time to get to training and lay it down and be with the rest of them. So I made them, hey, the time that you wasted for me, it was the time you wasted for you. So for the next 10 minutes, these guys were just like sweating their ass off, push-ups on, push-ups off, push-ups on. And everybody looked at me like, oh shit, this dude is nuts. He's intense. And I was just like, and that's literally, I think, like the only smoking I gave anybody that whole time I was there. But it set that standard of just like, hey, I'm not here to waste my time. If you're gonna waste my time, I'm gonna waste your time. Like I said before, my drill sergeant showed me that if y'all gonna waste my time, it's not that I'm gonna waste my time. There's 3 things I could take away from you. I could take away your sleep, I could take away your time, and I could take away your money. Mess with any one of those 3 with people, and trust me, their attitude changes in the military. Why? Because sleep, you're gonna need sleep. Because in the field or NTC, JRTC, you don't get to sleep. You barely sleeping. They are working you hours on hours just for nonsense, just to prepare you basically for a deployment. Money is basically, if you lose rank, you're gonna lose money. If you were paying something, you lost your rank, you losing money. So how you gonna make these payments? Are you gonna keep paying? That's on the army. Don't care. Leadership don't care. You can have all the bills in the whole world trying to pay shit off. Motherfuckers will try to take your rank, and once you take their rank, it's just like, hey, figure it out. That's the stupid shit that is with the military is crazy, and it tries to make people like, hey, you fuck up, it's on you. You're gonna lose your money. That's your problems. With anything else after that, which sometimes is detrimental, because the thing is if a person starts stressing out, losing their credit, losing bills, not paying this, getting that, it was just like, how do you think this person's gonna be in this right state of mind to be proactive, be motivated, do what he has to do, and keep a straight face? Like, the army don't think about it like that. The army just think about it. I was like, well, you needed punishment. Here you go. And what was it? I said time. I said sleep, money, and sleep because you don't sleep. I said money, and I said your time because just time is just like they can just take your time. Like you could be home early most of the time. If you ain't doing shit, go home. I would do that most of the time. Go home. Me, I was the one that left the last because I was just like, I'm not leaving before any of my soldiers leave. So if a soldier had to finish something or they had to get some paperwork done, first song needed it or something like that, I stayed till that person left. And then when they didn't, and when they did stay late, it was like, hey, don't show up to morning formation tomorrow. I'll give you a comp day for it. Or a comp for it. Like, hey, it was like, oh, late work call for this person. Um, First sergeant, I know a couple of times she would look at me like I didn't authorize that shit. And I was just like, I didn't say nothing. I was like, what did you want me to do? Ask you every single time somebody stays late? If a person is staying late because they had to do something that was not their fault, I am not going to penalize them for that. Now, if they were working late because it was something that they chose to be late on, that's on them. They don't get that late work call. But if it's something that was needed, that it was priority, like you know how everything is priority in the military, that was it. It was just time. So taking someone's time away is a big factor when it comes to it. So it changes what they do. So with that situation, I just showed people like, hey, I mean business. I'm gonna do this. This is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna do training, but hey, don't waste my time. From then on, those two soldiers never gave me any problems. They barely even tried to interact with me because I know they probably dislike me at that point because of what I did. But it's just like in the military, sometimes you have to do that to let people know, like, hey, I'm not gonna play these games with y'all. I was just like, if it were like, hey, I said take your time. No, I was like, hey, everybody, hurry up, grab your stuff. We gonna get a class in. They took their time. They paid for it. But besides that, once they saw that, the company saw it, was like, okay, this guy's like, he's extra. I'm not extra. I'm one of the most laid back people. Like I said, that was the only time I actually made somebody do like some like push-ups or anything the whole time I was there. Because most of the time I told people I was like, I don't like to. I'm not gonna do the physical stuff like oh, push-ups here, push-up there. I put it in writing. I'd rather put it on a 4856, which is a counseling form, which basically it shows a pattern and it shows a record. Because the thing is as a younger NCO or younger sergeant, I learned that it's like, hey, you can get burned by soldiers for that. Because the thing is if a soldier continues to do something that they're not supposed to, and you don't have it in writing, and you just verbally say it all the time, it was like there's nothing to justify you trying to take it to a higher level of punishment because the soldier's a knucklehead or he doesn't want to listen. So I always told him, I was like, look, I'm not going to scream at y'all. I'm going to just put it in writing. You don't show up to formation, it's going to go on paper. It's not like I'm going to, it's going, the justification and the correction came with it on paper. I didn't put it like, hey, we're going to do this many push-ups or I'm going to smoke you for like half an hour. It was like smoking somebody really didn't do anything when it came to time or any kind of, I never understood that form of correction. Because, yeah, you going to get the person dog tired and shit, but there's some people in the military that it was like they love that shit. Some soldiers just like, oh, you gonna smoke me? Cool, let's do it. These motherfuckers get more motivated to fucking do dumb shit because of that smoking. You just like gave them this adrenaline rush, and you just look at it like, what the fuck did I just do? Like, how did this backfire on me? I'm supposed to be tired of watching him get tired, and this dude just wants to keep going. So it's like it works back and forth. Sometimes it does, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I always put stuff on paper. But like throughout the time you're there, and then we get two other platoon sergeants, which I didn't get along with. I'm not gonna say I didn't get along with because at first I get along with everybody. I'm the person that gets along with everybody to a certain point, and then from there, if I don't fuck with you, I don't fuck with you. And with those two, I just did not fuck with because of the fact that it was just like you could tell they were fake. It was just like there's a point where somebody wants to talk to you and they trying to do it in a way to like, help you out or boost you out or like give you pointers and stuff. And then there's times that it's just like they talking to you just because they trying to see what you up to or what you doing or how your thought process is, so that they know to avoid it or they know what to say in case they get questioned. So I started noticing that because my platoon was squared away. Our documentation was good, appointments was good, nobody was getting in trouble. I ain't have nobody being late. People were getting promoted, people going to the promotion board. So I ain't have no issues in my platoon, but then the other platoons did have issues. And it came to a point where other soldiers were coming to me from their platoons to talk, like just questions, just like either life questions, how to get promoted. Oh, I put in this paperwork, this, and that. I manage the headquarters company, or like the orderly room, which is basically where all the paper transactions and all the stuff happens. So if anything happened, it came through one of my soldiers' desk and it was there. So I basically had a track of, oh, we received this document, we got this for this person, this for that person. So when you see that, and it's just like, okay, you see these things, you see what's going on, and soldiers is coming to me for answers. And I'm like, why are soldiers coming to me for answers when they have their own people to go and ask? And mind you, these are people that have been in the army longer than I have. They have supposedly more experience than I have at what I'm supposed to be doing. Yet I'm managing that company better. I'm assisting that company better. I'm assisting the soldiers better. I'm teaching them. I'm helping them learn. And it was just like, it got to the point where I was making them look so bad that they just started to try to throw me under the bus or my soldiers under the bus for whatever reason possible. Because the thing is they had a problem with the fact that I was doing everything the way it's supposed to be. We got into it one time where it was a meeting with all of us and the first sergeant, where they had an issue with the fact that I did not keep my soldiers at parade rest when I was speaking to them. So now parade rest is basically a custom and courtesy in the military where a person is standing with their basically legs open and they have their hands behind their back. Um, so when that happens, you have that happening, and at that point, you're supposed to keep on talking to the person. If they're lower ranked and stuff, they stay in that position. So most of the times when it came to talking to my first sergeant or a senior above me, I would go into parade rest for them to speak to them. But if we were at the same level, the same position, I didn't bother to do that. Some people didn't like that, but I was just like, it's the position. If we at the same position, the rank don't matter. Because the position is the one that gives you that authority to do that. So I left it at that. So they didn't like that. I was like, okay, whatever. So then it was just like, oh, he doesn't keep them in parade rest. Because I tell my people to relax. If you come up to me in parade rest, but that's the thing. It was just like the soldiers had the respect for me as a non-commissioned officer, as an NCO, to come up to me, stand at parade rest, and start speaking to me. I would just tell them, hey, relax. And if you tell them like to relax or at ease, they can relax, put their hands down and stuff like that. And I was just like, I had the mannerisms with my soldiers to talk like, hey, if we're going to talk, we're going to talk as adults. If it's an issue going on with you, I'm not going to have you in parade rest all uncomfortable. It was like that. There's no familiarity. I can't even say familiarity. There we go. With you, I couldn't even say the word. But there's no sense of communication with that. Me talking to you in a different, you're not comfortable. I want you to be comfortable and be able to speak to me. So if you have issues, I can know that you have that confidence in me to speak to me, and then I can respond to you back. Because it's like, at the end of the day, yes, this is a job, but we talking as adults. We're not talking as, it's like, yes, I am your leader, I am your supervisor, but at the same time, I'm a human being, you're a human being, you're an adult, I'm an adult. Both bleed. If we both get shot, we both might die. We're going to bleed the same blood if we get shot, stabbed, whatever the case may be, still a person. And some people don't realize that, and some people take it that, oh, I got this rank and stuff like that. They take it up over their head too much, and they just think that people are supposed to be submissive to them because of the rank. Shit don't work like that, and some people need to understand that. Um, but yeah, I would tell my people to relax, and I would tell them to speak to me, and they had an issue with that, and I'm just like, hold up. Y'all have an issue with me doing this, but the thing is you pick and choose who you tell to go to parade rest. I'm the same way with all my soldiers. All my soldiers, I tell them to relax once they come up to me. Y'all pick and choose who you want to go to parade rest. If they didn't like somebody, oh, they were in parade rest. But if they liked them, they had a conversation with them like they were just kicking the shit. So it's like, y'all pick and choose when y'all want to be professionals or when y'all want to hold that standard. But then when somebody else is doing it because you see I'm doing it, you want to bring it up to our first sergeant to try to make me look like shit. Oh, I don't have no discipline with my soldiers. My soldiers don't get in trouble. You're the one that's always in here because your soldier missed this, didn't show up to that, or got in trouble for this, is having this, had what issues all over the place. And it's just like, y'all coming at me for this. Okay. So we left it at that. Then one of them got promoted. How, I don't know, because she was under investigation for some shit. I don't know the details exactly, but once you go into an investigation of certain shit and you lose it, it was just like you shouldn't have any responsibility. You had, I believe she was in charge of the Sharp, which is the sexual harassment and stuff like that. She was under investigation. What the investigation was, I don't know. I'm not going to clarify. I'm not going to dive into that because there I did not have the specifics. I do know she lost the job. The fact that you lose that job when that is one of the highest like respect and like positions to have and you lost it, that to me already shows that there should be no confidence in you to the fact that you had to get investigated and you lost that position. So what do? They reward her with putting her in charge of the company after I left. But let's backtrack a bit more. Within that company, we had our sergeant major. Everybody know that sergeant major because he used to be that big tough dude and we just like want to talk to you. Hey man, hey man. It was just like, bro, this dude was just like, you were just like, they said you have to respect it because of the rank, but you know this dude was full of shit also. This dude was fucking so and so. I said it. I don't give a damn. But like I said, it's spilling the tea in this episode. And this dude was fucking that sergeant or that senior NCO, and they were both married. So adultery is happening, and that's the issue. That same NCO was fucking another NCO, which was a good friend of mine, and he let me know. He stopped messing with her because of the fact that she was married. He doesn't do that. He's oblivious to it. If the woman is with somebody, he throws his hands out. He's like, nah, I'm not doing this. So she was doing that. So in that battalion, it got to the point where it was just like sexual favors, it seems like, was going around left and right when it came to people. Because some people were just moving up in certain places and doing and getting certain jobs. And it's just like, bro, how when you haven't done anything? You haven't even managed the people you had to manage in the first place. And now you at this point and you getting, it shouldn't work that way. But at that battalion, hey, all shit is fair, I guess. You had one other of the first sergeants that got kicked out or got removed because he was sending dick pics to another soldier. And it's funny because I didn't know exactly what was going on, but the battalion would post, like, for some reason they would post like the battalion news or what was going on within the battalion in the urinals of the bathroom for some reason. I don't know why. So it was just like, hey, if you're going to take a piss, hey, go ahead. You can read this, pay attention to this, see what's going on. So I started reading what it said, and it was like, oh, this master sergeant was caught sending illicit pictures to this soldier within his company, this, and that. And then I started putting one and one together. I was like, oh, this master sergeant just got moved. Why did this master sergeant get moved? Got sent over here, then all of a sudden, retiring. Because in the military, that's what happens when it comes to sexual assault and stuff like that. When it comes to harassment or something like that, something of a person that's supposed to be of the utmost professionalism senior ranking, mentoring, and all that stuff. He's the one sending the dick pics. But what happens to him? He just gets moved from his company. He's no longer in charge of it. He gets moved to another section within the battalion, and then they let him retire. He retires early because he was probably planning to stay longer, but he gets like forced retired to get out because of what he did. So it goes to show, it's just like, so you allow a person to do this because clearly that wasn't the first time he was doing that. But this was the time he got caught for it. He got caught and he still manages to retire. So that's where there's a big issue in the military where, hey, that's another one of the reasons why retention is low. Because you see issues like that where somebody is sending the senior commissioned officer, non-commissioned officer, is sending dick pics to a soldier that works in his company. Then there was another one right before I left. There was a commander that was fucking one of the NCOs. But then that first sergeant was also fucking. So basically, the command team. So basically, the commander and the first sergeant were fucking the same soldier. The first sergeant, I guess, caught the commander fucking the soldier because I guess nobody, the whole triangle wasn't connected. They didn't know. So then he ended up snitching on the commander, and then the commander got relieved. He didn't get relieved, but everybody knew they were fucking. That's what, like, the funny part about all of this is, like, I didn't ask for none of this information. A lot of the information I got and all the tea I got from that battalion, it was just like, people would just start talking about it to me, and I'm just like, what? I was like, that's why he ain't there? Because I would notice, I was just like, yo, what happened to so-and-so? He's no longer in charge of this company, or he's not over there. Because the thing is I was an operations NCO. So a lot of the times, if I couldn't get to the operations, I had to call their first sergeant, or I had to call their commander, like, hey, this is what's going on. I was just like, hey, y'all owe us this information. Like, this mission happens in 2 days, and we don't have information from you. We need this. And the thing is that that's where you have the accountability issues. Because it's like I said, it was these sergeant majors was fucking people, first sergeants were fucking people, commanders were fucking people. Nothing happens to them. But then you had people run into like other, because it was like a line of people that it was just happening. The same company I was first in, they put in another first sergeant. And this dude had a reputation for liking the females. Bald-headed dumb motherfucker. That's all I gotta say about him. This dude was just like after the female. So basically he took over and he started basically aligning the company to have nothing but females working in the positions that were around him. And it got to the point where they filed an equal opportunity complaint against them, basically multiple female soldiers saying that there was favoritism with a certain soldier. That soldier was doing this, they were doing that. It was very friendly. It wasn't a very respectful or professional mannerisms within the two. T was supposedly they were fucking. Supposedly got pregnant or didn't get pregnant. Mind you, the man is married. This is just T I just heard. I can't confirm nor deny. Maybe we can have him on the podcast and maybe have him show up and actually explain the shit or talk about it. And maybe we could get that, straightened out. Doubtful, because most people ain't gonna confess to some shit like that, especially if they're still serving in the military, because that'll hinder their careers. If they get to a certain point, it probably won't do nothing to them because they'll just be like, oh, it happened already. But if let it be a soldier or something, then it's like, hey, we got to get this guy. We got to fix this. We can't have this shit happening. So there was a lot of that in that battalion that happened. And that was just like one of the reasons why I was just like, bro, y'all doing all this shit. Everybody's kissing ass, fucking this person, fucking the other person. And it's just like, you wonder why people don't want to stay, because then the person that actually does their job gets screwed over. And it was just like, that was just like that. The amount of shit that probably further was happening, it was just like, I don't know. I tried not to pay attention to it because I was like, look, I don't want to know. I don't want to know that anybody knew I knew. I was just like, if you're telling me, you're telling me. I got to deal with my own shit. I'm not fucking dealing with people's other bullshit and then this person doing this and this that. Especially when it's people that try to act like they're the best around and try to downplay people or belittle people or talk shit to people. And it was just like cause they think they hot shit when they really not, and it's just cause they were fucking the person that was in charge. That's it. Basically, it's like all those little movies you see with the secretary and the boss, and then the secretary ends up becoming like part supervisor. It was just like how, like no experience, didn't do anything, and now you at the top of the people start questioning stuff like that. But in the army, it's just like, oh no, they were working hard. I was like, how is that everybody else saw that they didn't do shit, but you? It don't add up, do it? But that's another thing. Um, and then during that time, I was just like, I was selected to go to SLC, which is a senior leader course, which was for me to go to become a sergeant first class. And that happened to me when I was only at 7 years, which is pretty fucking fast for anybody to get selected to go to school at that 7 year mark. So basically, if I would have gone to school, I would have been a sergeant first class. Chances are, if I would have fucking gotten that and gone to school and all that, I would have probably still. Most chances are I would probably still be in the military because I would have been a sergeant first class now at 12 years because I hit 12 years this. I would have hit 12 years this August, and I would have been a sergeant first class already, which means I had 8 more years to get to sergeant major, which was gonna happen. Um, but yeah, I got scheduled for the class early as shit because I was surprised. My first sergeant was just like, you already? I was like, how long you been in? I was like 7. She was like, damn, that's you doing good. Keep it up. I was like, okay. She was mad because it was like, oh, so you gonna be gone for this time, September. I was just like, hey, I'll still. You got people here, people here. I'll build them up to try to take over. We had one NCO, Renato. Hopefully, I get to see him again. Um, that kid was a knucklehead. He was smart. He was dedicated. But you had to teach him what he had to do. The thing is, he's better off now. He's a drill sergeant now. So top off to you, man. But me and Nathaniel got on this dude because it's like we saw potential. You know, it's like you see potential in soldiers, and some soldiers you just have to be tough on. This kid, you had to be tough on to like make it sink in because it's like you doing this. This is what you got to do with soldiers. This is how you got to do paperwork with soldiers. This is how you want to counsel the soldiers. This is what you want to teach them. This is the stuff because he was working behind the scenes to try to progress his soldiers. But the thing is the soldiers didn't realize that, and the soldiers just thought he didn't know what he was doing. The thing was is that he didn't know how to show what he was doing so that people could see around him. He was doing all the stuff, but he wasn't telling anybody. He wasn't telling the higher ups. He was keeping the information to himself, and he wasn't getting help when he really needed it, which would have pushed him further. But his soldiers saw it as like, oh, this dude don't know nothing. And sometimes I had to talk to the soldiers, or Nathaniel had to talk to him just to let him know, like, hey man, this dude is doing what he's supposed to do for you. There's very little chance that you're gonna find an NCO that actually cares as much as the NCO you have. And a lot of soldiers don't understand that sometimes. Sometimes they just think it's being hard on them. And sometimes they don't understand that till they go to another location and then they be like, fuck, this dude wasn't even that bad. Like, this dude actually cared. I'm here now. These people don't give a fuck about me. And it happens a lot in the military. So that's one thing. But me getting scheduled for that class, COVID hits. Um, and it was 2 years of just stupid. It was a lot of drinking. That was bad. Like there was a lot of drinking going on. I drank a lot. I drank way too much. We were barbecuing damn near all the fucking time. Um, because you couldn't go no. Like I said before, you got locked down on base. COVID made shit simpler. You didn't have morning formations. You didn't have afternoon formations or battalion formations. You didn't have any of that nonsense to go. So it was just like you took care of the stuff. But then that's when all that fucking started within the battalion, because it was like people weren't reported to work. Some people were going to work, but they weren't showing up to work. They were working from home. Some people were working from home. Some people weren't. Some people didn't have a spouse, claimed they had a spouse, but didn't have the spouse, and then somebody else's spouse was going to see them. Um, and it was just like a lot of craziness going on. But that I got that. And then COVID hit, my class got canceled. So I was like, okay. I figured, okay, they're gonna, reschedule me after COVID calms down and they start opening up the classes. They'll reschedule me. They didn't. The army went to this whole new system of promoting where it wasn't a sequence number, because before it was basically you got once you got your promotable to sergeant first class, you got hit with a number. So whatever number, let's say you were number 150. So you are promotable. I would be staff sergeant cruise promotable number 150. That number meant basically that I had 149 other staff sergeant promotables that were ahead of me. I would not pick up my sergeant first class till those 149 were basically promoted. So that was the system how it was before. Now they changed it to a different system where it's basically you're ranked, but your ranking determines, doesn't mean you're gonna get promoted first. It's just basically like an order of merit, basically. So basically, you could have been number one, but hey, if you didn't make this class or you were flagged or whatever the case, it would bump you down. So then number two would take that spot. Or when it came to duty stations, picking where you wanted to go, the higher up on the list you are, the better chances you had of picking the location you were trying to go to. So it changed. It changed a lot. But then with that system, since it was like, oh, it's a new system, we're not going to reschedule you for class. And I'm like, hold on, y'all had me going to the class early already, which I was ahead of my peers. There was only, I think, like, for the people I went to the non-commissioned officer class, ALC, Advanced Leaders course, before, I think it was only two people from that class that were ahead of me that became sergeant first classes before I even got the class. They were fast tracking too. So I got it ahead of a lot of peers, and because I asked my friends, I was like, "Hey, did y'all get this class?" And they was like, "No, man, you got that shit already." I was like, "Yeah." So they were surprised, and I was surprised. They were happy for me though, because I made some great friends out of those people there, because they were just like, "Hey, I was teaching them how to do paperwork, this, and that." They would teach me how to do more of the in-depth stuff when it came to chemical stuff. I was still learning, but hey, I was in those books studying. Um, I was the reason we drank though, unfortunately, but hey, we went to ALC. It was like we were gonna drink. Why? Because we had to study. We had to memorize basically like a thick ass book of basically like, hey, when you drive on the highway, you see all those containers. When you see those 18 wheelers with those containers in the back and they have those placards, we had to know all of that. So we had to know what each container was, what it carried, what the possible pressure, the PSI was that it had in it, what it traveled in, what it was, and what it could do. So we had to do that and just be able to memorize all that stuff, not including all the placards, different information. And it was just like a lot of information to fill in. So in order to do that, we just had to, I was just like, I was stressed. I just went and bought like a 30 rack of beers, and because it was our whole little platoon that did it. And I was just like, hey, man, y'all grab a beer, relax, let's drink, let's have a good time and study. After that, I think everybody relaxed more because they had a beer in them, and the beer let them like cool off and relax. And then we started questioning each other, like check on learning and stuff like that, and everybody started. It started sinking in more because we weren't so stressed and closing our minds off because of how stressed we were. So yeah, I take blame for that. And then from there, we were drinking like most of the time. Every day it was just like a couple of beers. Just when it came to studying. Then when they had like our 4 day, we went, had a little grill, went out to the lake or a little river that they had, which I didn't even know the base had a river within it. Played volleyball, grilled and stuff like that. Good times. Um, but yeah, back to Germany. That was just like the issue. They didn't schedule me, so I was like, all right, fuck this shit. That really irritated me because it was just like I was already in a position to get promoted, and I did not get promoted because of that. So I didn't get sent to the class because of that, because of this whole new system. Even though prior to the system, the army felt I was supposed to get promoted already. Now all of a sudden, because of this new system, they're like, oh, new system, we can't honor the class we were already gonna give you. So that already, that had me kind of irked. And then during COVID time and all that stuff, I was working a good amount of time on my own. There was this one lieutenant, Lieutenant Zwick. Love you, Lieutenant Zwick. She helped a lot. That woman was a workhorse. She worked. She has a cute little kid, amazing husband. Um, she was just cool as shit. She took care of you. She looked out for you. If you needed help, she helped you do the work. She, she asked for anything, got it done. I looked after her dog a couple of times, like her pets. I would just go, just feed them when they weren't there. Went to the house, fed them, dipped, and that's it. One time I even stayed there. She was like, "Hey, you can stay there. We got a guest room. Just feed the dogs, go to work, and that's it." I just literally stay there, feed them in the morning, go, come at night, feed them again, and then dip, and that's it. And that lady, just like that, that lady was a hard worker. She was a worker. She didn't like to leave anything for the next day. It was like, hey, if we could get it done today, let's get it done. And that's the mentality I started picking up. Because it's like when you work with people with that work ethic in the military, it's contagious. It's just like when you have people that are lazy, you get lazy. Because the thing is they lazy, so why the fuck am I working so hard? But when you see somebody else is working hard, you start working hard also. So that's the concept of basically like how you see those pictures of a leader. Not a leader just like with the whip telling them to do it, but the leaders in the front actually pulling the, like I think it was like with stones they have a picture of where the leader is on top of the stone and the people are pushing it, and then there's the leader where he's pulling the stone from the front with the people pushing it. And you see the different perspectives of that, and it's just like working with her and working with certain people in the military, you gain that advantage and you gain that ability to work harder and you want to work harder. And your work ethic develops from that. You pick up from that. So it's a good thing to have to be around people like that because you learn from it. But then there's times where it's just like you get around some people that are just lazy. We worked with somebody else also that was lazy as shit. Man didn't do shit. I'm sorry. He was cool at times, but then it came to the fact where it was just like my evaluation. This dude tried to screw me over. Um, I was fat by Army standards. I was fat by Army standards. I could still perform a APFT or a ACFT with flying colors. Pass, no issues. But I was fat. Now they have the whole thing in the Army that is just like with the ACFT. If you, I think is you score a 540 because there's 6 events. So basically an 80 in each event, you won't get taped. And I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. I was just like, y'all could have done that with the ACFT and y'all wouldn't have kicked out so many people from the Army. Because a lot of people get kicked out in the Army because they can't pass the test. I was like, a lot of people can't do a certain amount of push-ups, a certain amount of sit-ups, and then do a 2 mile run all in the same time frame within an hour, basically. A lot of people can't do that. Especially if you're not training them right, and especially some people are lazy enough. But a lot of people got kicked out just because of that. A lot of people got kicked out because they got taped, and the Army classified them as overweight, so they didn't have the body fat percentage that was adequate for the military. Even though they could have been training studs, the Army didn't care. So a lot of people got kicked out for that. So with my evaluation, this dude tried to like put that I did not meet the standard um, on my evaluations. He literally put I did not meet the standard on a couple of things. And then that was one of those turning points where it was just like, I spoke to him. I was just like, hold on. So you mean to tell me that you don't think I did the adequate job? He was like, nah, man, you did a phenomenal job. So then why the fuck would you put that on the thing? He was like, oh, well, I had to put one. I was like, where does it say that you have to put that? I was like, this dude didn't know what the fuck he was doing. Mind you, the dude got fired from his last place and then they put him in the office where it is. Because basically, if you're in the S3 office, most of the time is you get fucking put in there because either somebody didn't like you or you got in trouble or you needed to be moved somewhere. That's what tends to happen when you're in the S3. Not always, but a lot of the times that's what happens. So we're there, and I got told by somebody else that worked in that same office that worked directly with him that he got fired because of the bad job he was doing. So I was like, okay. So when he told me that, it was just like, oh, I had to put that. I was like, where? Because nowhere in regulation does it say you have to put that. I was like, yeah, I didn't meet the height and weight standards, but everything else I excelled in. I was like, I did this job by myself. You weren't helping me. You were barely around. You were just passing it off to me, and I was just doing it to keep myself busy because it was driving me crazy being stuck in a fucking room. So during COVID, some people worked from home. I never worked from home. I didn't want to stay in a barracks room. You know how depressing that shit is to just stay in a fucking room the whole fucking time? And then if you're going out anywhere, it's just like you have to have a mask. You can't be too close to people and stuff like that. So it's just like, this shit was stressful when it shouldn't have been stressful for me. But depression got a gold grip on me there. So it was just like, I'm going to go to work just to get my mind off of stuff, just to be able to interact with stuff, do stuff. And it's just like that. So this dude was just like, he tried to put that on me. And then after that, I was just like, you know what? I realized is like, I'm working my ass off here for nothing. Because that's when I said, like, when it comes to like different people, it's just like being evaluated. Some people don't get the recognition. Like, let's see. Um, Nobody taught me. I learned how to do everything. They taught me like the first 2 weeks, and then from that I just ran with it, and I did everything. But when it came to anything that came organizational wise in that battalion, you can ask me and I can tell you without even having to look at a computer. That's how much I was like into the thing. Like, oh, this is happening. Oh, so and so called because oh, that's supposed to happen on this day with that. They're supposed to bring. And people be like, how the fuck do you remember all this shit? And be like, I'm doing it. I'm the one that's doing it. I'm the one that's creating it. I receive it from a high level and then I'm pushing it down. So I'm making sure to make the right phone calls and see what's going on before it gets to y'all so that y'all have all the information. And then sometimes the people above me didn't know what the fuck they were doing because they were just copying and pasting shit. And then they would copy and paste the wrong fucking shit too. So it's just like, bro, how am I supposed to tell my soldiers or the companies below me what they have to do when you can't even tell me what I'm supposed to tell them they're supposed to do? I was just like, another make it make sense. Um, but then it came to like the accountability part. It came to accountability where, like I said, all this fucking is going around and stuff like that. Nobody's being held accountable. Soldiers get held accountable, but those senior leaders were not being held accountable. Senior leaders are doing those EO complaints, sharp complaints, stuff like that. Stuff doesn't happen because most of the time they try to take care of it at their level. And that is the biggest bullshit I heard in the fucking military is take care of it at your own level. If it's that serious of an incident, take it to a higher level. I've always told my fucking soldiers that. I was like, don't ever fucking keep the shit at the company level. If it's something that severe where it's a legit EO complaint or a legit sharp issue, take that shit above. Do not keep it within the company because the company's supposed to have their EO or their sharp. So they're supposed to, assist and all that. But the thing is what most of the time it happens is that person will speak with the commander. Commander catches wind of it, or somebody catches wind of it, and then they just try to downplay it. Like, hey, yeah, we'll go and talk to so and so. Here, we'll have him apologize and this, and that. And it's just like, man, if it was something legit like that, that means that this was probably not the first time that this person did that to that soldier, or they've probably done it to somebody else. So basically, what happens is you don't even give him a slap on the wrist. You just let him be on his way, or you move him to a different area for a couple of months, and then he does the same shit in that area that he did before, but there was nothing notated about it. There was no repercussions, no accountability. So it's just like it got to the point where everywhere you were at that duty station, there was no accountability for anything. I was just like, so it got to the point where it's just like, these people get to do all this shit. They get to do this, they do that. They travel all the time. They do their DTS, which is basically a free check for them because they get paid for hotel rooms, but then they get per diem per day. So you mean to tell me y'all traveling all the fucking time? I was just like, so y'all just making checks every single fucking week, acting like y'all going somewhere or doing some shit when y'all really ain't doing shit. And y'all just collecting a check. But let a soldier fucking do that shit. Oh, hey, we know. Um, but then that with COVID and all that. I did burn myself out, unfortunately, and that's something that I spoke about in the last one. It was just like burnout. You have one of the hardest people working, but you don't reward them. I didn't get sent to no classes. There was a class that I should have been taking, which was it was called the battle staff, which is the position I was in and slotted to do. I didn't even get sent to the class. I asked for it, but during COVID time, wasn't shit happening. So even after COVID, it got to the point where I was supposed to leave. And it got to the point where I got to the point where, you know what, I don't want to be in this battalion because of how toxic it is, how there's no accountability, how much the shadiness is going on here. Just because it was just like, it was shadiness all over. But the thing is like, you try not to pay too mind to it because you didn't want to lose your shit. You didn't want to just end up snapping on somebody because somebody said something or something said that. I had one NCO approach me one time, and it was in morning during PT. Mind you, I'm on a profile because I have a tear in my hip. I have a tear in my hip, so I can't run. The rest of the platoon, the rest of the company goes to run. Said NCO decides to stay back. Why? I don't fucking know. Because he didn't have a reason. He didn't have a profile. Why he wasn't running with the rest of the company was probably because he thought he was, a higher rank and he thought he could do so. So I have another soldier stop me and he's asking me questions about something he needs to take care of that needs to get done. So I'm explaining it to him and this, and that. And then that senior NCO calls me over. He's like, hey, man, why ain't you running? Or why ain't you walking? I was like, well, I was helping this guy with this. He was like, yeah, but that can wait. I was like, you need to be doing. I was like, hold on, man. I was like, I'm helping my soldier, which is part of my MOS, trying to establish and explain to him what he needs to do because it's something that's needed for the company. And you trying to tell me I need to go and walk? I was like, how come you ain't walking? And he was like, hey, we ain't talking about me. I was like, hold on. It don't work that way. It's just because you're an NCO doesn't mean you get to tell me what to do, and I'm an NCO and I don't get to correct you. You're supposed to be doing physical training in the morning. You not doing it. I went to walk. I started walking, and then I started talking to this guy. You have been standing here this whole time bullshitting, talking with this other dude. So both of y'all ain't on profile and all that, but then you can stand here and talk? He was like, Son Cruz, we ain't talking about me. I was like, yes, we are. Now we are talking about you because this is what you want to get started with me. So then he goes and he tries to try to fluff up and all. I was like, bro, I don't care. I was just like, you should be doing physical training too. Then he was like, all right, we'll talk about this some other time. I was like, I know you ain't going to talk to me about it no other time. Why? Because you walked the fuck off. Because you knew I was in the right. I at least had a profile saying I couldn't fucking run. Or I walk at my own pace and distance. I have a fucking tear in my hip. I shouldn't even be walking or running anyway. Then the dude disappears and then he's just like, oh. But then that's the thing. Like I said, I was a no-nonsense kind of guy while I was in the military. In that battalion, you had to be a no-nonsense kind of guy because it was just like in that battalion, if a person saw that they could try to intimidate you or they could try to use a flex or fluff up their chest to show their rank and you let it happen, they tried to do that continuously. With me, that shit was not going to happen because I had one company commander one time that tried to make me like falsify documents. And I told him straight the fuck up, no. And he looked at me like, you can't tell me no. I was like, the fuck I can't? I was like, no, I am not going to put this on somebody's license because I was the master driver. I was the one handling people's licenses and stuff. And best believe, the military was pencil whipping the fuck out of shit in that battalion. But what happened? I was even being told, hey, just circumvent what you can to get the results. I was like, no, I'm not going to circumvent the shit because I'm the one that's going to get in trouble because they're going to ask me the questions because I'm the one in charge of this program. So if people ain't going to do the program right, it's going to be on their company and their company commanders fucking this shit up because it's not going to be on my name. So I got a lot of backlash for that because it was just like people wanted you to circumvent, like I said, pencil whip information like, oh, this soldier knows how to drive this, and that. I was like, what the fuck is the training for this soldier? There's processes and procedures to licensing somebody. It's basically like you getting a driver's license. What do you got to do? You got to take the test. You got to take a road test. Basically the same thing in the military. But in the military, it's a bit more in depth because of the fact that these are bigger pieces of equipment. These are bigger vehicles. It's not no little vehicle. You got the 5 tons. You got the bigger vehicles like that. You got to teach them different things that the vehicle can do, turning radius, stop and go, serpentining with them, like drive, like there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes with it, but they were just trying to circumvent all that and just, write it on up like, oh, this is what's happening. And the thing is like that battalion was notorious for it. And I put a stop to it to a certain degree. And then it got to the point where it's just like you try to fix stuff and people just don't care. people just don't listen, and that's where it came to like the wrong people. How I mentioned in the last episode, the wrong people. You put the wrong people in place where they shouldn't be. Like at 23rd Company, when I first got there to Germany, when I was the platoon sergeant, they put a commander in there that man didn't know what the fuck he was doing. That man was confused as fuck. Great guy. Great guy. Took care of soldiers. But when it came to actually being a company commander, had no fucking idea what he was doing. But I respect the man because I did have an emergency leave situation where I had to go with my wife to take care of a family death. And he was there and he pushed it through and he took... I respect the hell out that man for that. But when it came to actually doing his job, he didn't know what he was doing. This dude would sometimes not even try to show up to work once shit was going on. So it's just like, you put this man in charge, it's just like, this company has a big responsibility in this area. Being in Germany and being in Grafenwehr and being in the 18th CSSB, yeah, I fucking said it. Because I know people are probably like, where was it? It was the 18th CSSB. If you look on Army What the Fucks, it's been on there plenty of fucking times. 16th Sustainment Brigade. Yeah, I'm calling y'all out too, because y'all be on some shit sometimes. But it's just like people would just want to do whatever the fuck they wanted to do. People would just pencil whip training, pencil whip this, pencil whip that. But then the thing is like, that's forging documents or falsifying documents. Who the fuck got in trouble for it? Nobody. You just kept on doing it till you wanted somebody else to keep doing it. But then you had a problem with the fact that that person didn't want to do it. I wasn't going to falsify no document. There was not going to be a signature of mine on anything where I didn't validate what happened. You're not going to tell me you drove from here to there, did this training, and I didn't see it. You got no proof of it. Why is all your signatures on everything? Why is it that this person got licensed on all this fucking piece of equipment and didn't even have it at the training? So how the fuck did they learn how to drive it? They looked at the vehicle and was like, they could drive it now? No, because there was a fucking survey that came out while I was over there. And that's another reason I started like the accountability. The survey basically put out that a lot of soldiers were saying that not you, but like, as in like people, you as a battalion are having soldiers get into vehicles without being properly trained and telling them to drive. Because we were having a bunch of incidents where it was like accidents here, people were taking too short of a turn or something, or knocking down light poles or hitting bridges and stuff like that off the turns. And it was just like, they started asking, it was like, hey, what's going on? What can be done? And I was just like, well, we need to actually train these soldiers how to do the stuff. Because, yeah, a lot of soldiers don't know how to drive certain vehicles. If in the military, you don't have to have an actual driver's license, but you can still drive a military vehicle if you get taught how to do it. You can only do it, though, on the military installation. You can't go off the military installation driving it if that's the case. So in those manners is different, because it's just like you have different aspects and different things that happen. So if you're not teaching these people, it's a person that never driven before, and now you got them driving a big ass truck with a trailer that's pulling something, or it's a water buffalo, or it's a second trailer, or whatever the case may be. And you got to teach these people how to do this, and they don't know how to drive. So it's like you have to teach them how to drive. You just can't say, oh, they know how to drive, and hey, it's on the paperwork that you know how to drive this. And the soldier tells you they've never driven it before, you should probably listen to them. But then what happens? They would tell that soldier, like, hey, I'm ordering you to get in there. And it would happen. So it was just like, that had to change. So it's just like, I said that and I brought that up. I was just like, look, if you look at the past training that was happening, all this training was falsified. What happened to this dude? Nothing, because the dude left. Dude left all of Germany. He was, I don't know where the fuck he went. But all those documents were falsified. Because the thing is they were saying that training was conducted on this, and that. People had it on their license. And the person did not step on any one of those vehicles or even drive any of those vehicles. So basically it was put on their license illegally, and then that was a whole shit show. So then the other part comes to just explaining to people that it was just like I said, I was no nonsense. I was like, when it came to, I was the operations manager and the master driver and the Seaburn dude. So basically, I had three different areas I had to maintain. Couldn't maintain all three. The master driver one, I just said fuck it, because it's like these companies want to do whatever the hell they want to do. They don't want to listen. They just want to pencil whip because it's like, oh, we got this mission coming up. We need somebody to drive. We don't got nobody licensed, so we're just gonna send him down the street, let him come back and say he's licensed. You doing that? I wasn't putting my name on that, and that's what companies are doing. Accountability that was mentioned, nothing happened because it was like, hey, the mission comes first. All right, when you have somebody roll over or you have somebody fucking kill a German civilian because they fucking ran into him or something like that, then all of a sudden you want to start asking questions. And then all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh no, we didn't know it was going on. Bullshit. You knew what was going on, but you ain't going to hold yourself accountable because you're a piece of shit. But that's part of the fucking issues with people getting out. That's one of the reasons I got out. That place had no fucking accountability for anything. Nobody got in trouble for shit that they were supposed to get in trouble for. People just, I was like, oh, it happened. It happened. I was just like, what do you mean it happened? I was like, something is supposed to happen. I was like, when people are missing missions or not doing what they're supposed to, people get chewed out. Something. Nothing was happening. People were just like, ah, fuck it. And it was just like, it would get to the point where I had to. There was this one commander that he just fucking irked the shit out of me because this dude would just try to like question everything and like try to back talk and like talk. He would try to like out talk you because he thought because he was a captain and I was a staff sergeant, I was just gonna take. And I was like, no, sir. I was like, no. The reason that you got this deadline and this stuff is because your company didn't provide the previous deadline. So you calling up here with all your hostility, trying to ask for stuff and trying to be like, hey, why am I getting this, this, and that? And I was like, no, sir, it's because you ain't doing what you're supposed to be doing. Your company isn't doing what you're supposed to be doing. So since we're tired of just fucking waiting on it, we're giving you more stricter deadlines because you can't seem to meet the regular deadlines. And he was like, oh, shit. I was like, okay. I'll go talk to my team and see what's going on. I was like, yeah. But this dude always called the office with an attitude. Like thinking he was all high and mighty. And then you had to bring this motherfucker down to size. Because it's like, no, bro, you wrong. You the one fucking up. Your company is fucking up. I could take it to a higher level, but I choose not to. I speak to you. And then there was this one time he tried to chew out one of my soldiers. That was the one that ended up replacing me. He tried to chew her out, and I wasn't having that shit either. And it was just like, but that's the thing. It was just like, the soldiers work harder for you when you take care of them. When they see that you go up to bat for them, soldiers work harder. Thing is in that office that wasn't happening, cause the people there they were just like, I don't know if it was scared or intimidated. They just didn't want to make those phone calls. I had to make the phone call. I was like, you got more rank than me. You should be making these phone calls. I was like, when they heard that I started getting heated, that's when they wanted to get in the conversation because it was like, I don't want to hear this shit or have to go to another level because Sergeant Cruz said something he wasn't supposed to. And then that's when they would get into it because they see I got heated because I'm just like, nah. And then, cause even when I got the fucking award, like that fucking plaque that I have, right there. Hold on, I'm gonna read what it says on it. It says, in appreciation of your selfless service, dedication, and sarcasm. That's how the thing starts. Dedication to selfless service and sarcasm. Why? Because I was sarcastic as shit. I was like, you had to be. When you're dealing with people that don't really give a shit about you and you got to take care of them no matter what, you got to be sarcastic with them. You gotta have fun with it because the thing is it becomes an environment where it's just like I said, you're working so hard. You continue to work. You continue to do everything that's asked of you. You keep on pushing, and you get nothing for it. You don't. I didn't get no awards while I was over there. I did tons of missions. I basically held the whole fucking battalion together. No award for it. Nothing. It wasn't even my fucking job. It was the person that got promoted to a new position that tried to tell me I wasn't doing my job. He got all the recognition. I didn't get it. So yeah, I was just like, I will say I was salty leaving the military because it was just like, y'all didn't give me anything for all the hard work I did, for all the sweat, mental fucking issues I had just dealing with this fucking place. Y'all didn't give me shit for it. They tried to give me a fucking ETS award, and I told them that I told the people that managed it, I was like, look, y'all can take that shit, y'all can fucking burn it or shove it up someone's ass. I don't give a fuck. I don't want the shit. I don't want that shit from this place because this place is fucking full of shit. I was just like, because people try to act like they care, but none of them care. All they care about is themselves. And that's where it's just like, that's where that toxicity, it's not even being toxic to the point where people are just, you know how people are toxic to be toxic? It's just, this is like that, how a passive aggressive toxic, I guess is a way of saying it. Because it's like they weren't really aggressively toxic towards you. They were just toxic in the way that they didn't really care for you. They didn't really care to take care of you. They didn't really care to look out, try to improve you, try to promote you. They just looked out for themselves. They looked out and took care of themselves and tried to do whatever they could to make sure they were good. They didn't give a fuck about the people around them. And that's a problem within the military now. A lot of these people that are in those positions of power or in positions of authority only care about themselves to get to that next level. They don't care about the soldiers below them. And the thing is nowadays, people realize that. People realize how important it is to take care of oneself more than it is to deal with the people in the military. You have people that just don't give a shit. They just care about themselves. It was like if I'm in a work environment where people see you working hard, don't acknowledge you for it, don't even give you a good job or anything like that, and they just want you to keep working, it got to the point where I just became lazy. How I said, creating laziness happened, and I just became a fucking shitbag. Towards the end of it, I was just like, once I knew I was getting out, that it got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm not doing shit for the army no more. I'm taking care of myself. I told him, I was like, hey, look, if I go, I'm going in September. If I'm looking at buying a house, if I buy this house, I'm getting the fuck up out the army. I ain't gonna give a shit left. I'm gonna have a year left, and I don't give a fuck what the fuck happens here. I don't give a shit. Don't expect me to help with anything. I'll help when I'm needed to help within the stuff, but don't expect anything extra for me. Y'all already tried to screw me with my last evaluation, saying I didn't do shit when I did everything. So what are y'all gonna do with this one? An evaluation doesn't mean shit in the civilian world. And people don't understand that. It was just like, yeah, you want to kiss ass, suck dick, fuck this person, and do all this shit to try to make yourself look good. Once you get out the army, that shit is worth nothing. In the army, you might make yourself look like you hot shit, but in the outside world, that shit is nothing. None of the evaluations I had, even the great evaluations I had, mean what right now? I can't go to, I can't put that on my resume. I was number one of 5 or whatever it may be. That's not gonna be on my resume. Nobody puts that shit on your resume. What you did, you can incorporate it. Like, hey, I was the operations manager for a fucking company of 1,300 people, and I was the one making sure that any information delegated from basically higher headquarters, I received it, I interpreted it, I disseminated it to the lower companies to make sure they executed the stuff without issue, having all of the information. So it was a lot of stuff like the Afghan evacuation. I managed that. All the defender, all these exercises that they're doing that NATO is pushing closer and closer to Russia, where Russia's getting pissed off because it's like, hey, you're invading in my fucking backyard. All those exercises, I managed most of those. I even took part in the first one, and then that's when COVID broke out. Shout out to those Brits, great people to work with. But it was just like you had your good and your bad when it came to it. So it's like when you had those missions or you out in the field, you don't deal with as much as the dumb shit because in the field it's just like mostly training. But that didn't happen in this battalion. This battalion training was like a 2-day session. So literally they were so concerned with missions, because basically that made that battalion commander look fucking amazing because it's like, oh, these people can support everything. They can get everything done. They don't fail. We didn't fail. I made sure everybody had their info. They had what they needed, and they weren't failing. They got their shit done. They got all the criteria they needed and the information they needed, they got. If it was missing something and they called me, I called up like, hey, company asks this, and this, and I'm also asking this, and this. So can we get an answer to this? It would take some time. Sometimes they knew, sometimes they didn't. Hey, we'll get back to you. I get it, pass it down, and then they were more aware. But I tried to make sure that shit happened as soon as I got that info. They were hearing it at least. So it was like, hey, Warno, this is about to happen. And they're like, damn, we don't even got. I know y'all got the people. Don't try to bullshit me. Y'all haven't sent me a report showing what your people are doing in the first place. So I know you got the people. You just try to act like you don't. Which a lot of people tried to get away with that also. Like when it came to that battalion, it was just like those companies was just like, nah, man, we ain't got people to send on this mission. And I was like, all right, send me a list of all the people you got on mission or not available. Oh, now we don't have that right now. We got to put it together. I was like, hey, I got time. Y'all got time. Y'all better figure it out because y'all gonna end up doing this regardless. And then sometimes they would go above my head to try to like get me not in trouble, but to try to like circumvent me so that I would switch the order that I put out for them. And then they would get shut down from the top. So then they had to deal with it. So it was just like it was maybe like 3 times where it got actually switched, where it was just like the higher up, my above me told me like, yeah, man, we gotta all right, let's lay off them for a bit. I was like, cool, cool, I'll take it, but they still haven't given me the information I need. So that goes into it, and it's just like so many different issues just within that alone. Like Germany had so many issues of just like accountability, toxic leadership, having toxic leaders in positions that were not supposed to be there. Some didn't merit the ability to do there. Like some didn't have the achievements or the time and grade or the time and service or even the capability to be put into those positions, but they got those positions somehow. And you're just like baffled, like, how the fuck does that happen? And it's just like you had NCOs that cared. There was a couple of great NCOs in that battalion. And soldiers respected them because they didn't want the bullshit. They didn't deal with the bullshit. They took care of what they had to. They listened. They did what they had to, and they let you go home. It was like, hey, if there's nothing to do, get the fuck out. Go home. Go do something. You're in Germany. If it's like a 4-day, people try to get out of there quick. Got a 4-day weekend. Where you going? Oh, I'm going to Spain. I'm going to Switzerland. I'm going to Belgium. I'm going to France. I'm going to Czech. I'm going to Poland. I'm going to Romania. I'm going to Greece. I'm going to Malta, Croatia. Like, that's what people would do on the 4 days. But the thing is like, sometimes some people would just like get so overworked that it's just like you don't want to be in the military for that. Because the thing is you see other people don't get as worked as much. Because they buddy with whoever's in charge, or they kissing ass, or like I said, or they fucking them. One of the two. In Germany, that shit was just happening all the time. It was just like, one of my good friends from over there, this dude was on every fucking mission. Like, I mean, every fucking mission. This dude is like, anytime we was like, yo, we about to go out this weekend, he was like, nah, man, I'm on standby. I'm like, standby for what? For another mission. Like, bro, you got the biggest company. How is it that you the only one always on shit? And people don't understand that. It's just like burnout is a bad thing in the military because you overwork those people that work hard. They ain't gonna say no. Some of them don't say no. It's just like we take the work. We just keep working until you realize that it's just like, bro, I'm done working this hard. Like, I'm not gonna continue to work this hard. I get nothing for it. Why am I gonna continue to keep doing this? And I don't get nothing for it? I get paid the same as they do. But they ain't doing the same job I'm doing. They don't even do half the amount of work I do. Some of them were above you and they didn't do the work they did. Um and then in that company I was in, it was just like we had that first sergeant that got that position somehow, stayed in that position even though she was trash. You had the other one that was there previous, was trash, always wanted females around, and was basically accused of trying to like harass them and stuff like that, but nothing came out of that because that was one of those battalions that was like, oh, we don't want to mess somebody's career up. I was like, all right, so let this person be a predator. We'll continue to do it, but we ain't gonna say shit about it. And then you would say it, and then it was just like, what are you gonna say? Your word against somebody that's 3 levels of rank above you, saying the opposite. the higher up at that other level is just gonna listen to whatever they say. They ain't gonna listen to the soldiers unless the soldiers had like fucking legit proof. I was just like, no, we've seen this happening. Well, you don't have anything in writing. There's nothing else. Nobody else wants to speak up. I was like, yeah, nobody else wants to speak up because they fear for repercussions, because that's what happens in most of the army. When somebody speaks up or something, they get ostracized, they get blackballed, or they get moved to a different location, and it's within that same battalion. So let's say you had first sergeant and commander in one place make a complaint, they made a complaint against them, they would move them to a different company within that same battalion. So what happens? Those two, first sergeant and commander, will now tell the first sergeant and commander of that new location where that soldier went. And what you think, they were just gonna help him out and stuff like that? No, because now those two are like wary of like, oh man, we can't talk to this person or this, and that because of something happened. If you ain't doing nothing wrong, why the fuck you worried? Like that was the big issue. It's just like, yeah, so you don't want to talk to the soldier. Why? She got moved for a reason, because something was going on at that company. But you didn't see nobody get in trouble too crazy over there, because they were a senior or above. I was just like, it's a thing that was just like, that's why I was just like over there. It was just like different. I was like, that shit happens all over the army. Adultery being committed, fucking the command teams, fucking somebody within their company, or fraternization, or all this stuff. But the thing is the accountability level isn't there. Nobody's held accountable. Nobody's held to that standard that they want to fucking keep on pushing and talking about. And then you're just gonna have somebody say, "Oh well, that wasn't your situation. You could have done a better job." I was like, I tried. If I try to say something and my shit gets thrown out, what am I supposed to do? Because now if I keep on going at it, they're just like, oh, you just mad. Because you did this, you did that. So they get mad at the fact, and then that's how that continues. So then that same blackballing basically happens. So then it get to the point where it's just like, you know what? I don't give a shit anymore. I was just like, I'm not going to miss any formations. I'm not going to do this. Because that was another thing. Like that time period when I knew I was getting out the military, basically like when you're clearing, or you wouldn't have to show up to formation. But then when it came to somebody that was lower enlisted, they would try to be like, oh, you need to be at formation. I was like, hold the fuck up. I was just like, please don't try that shit with me, because y'all going to have a rough fucking day. I showed up to formation every single fucking day. When I couldn't run, I had a tear in my fucking hip. Shit, I remember the last time I did fucking run. It was with the fucking section. We ran up a Netzeberg Hill, which is a pretty decent fucking hill. I ran up that shit with a fucking tear in my fucking leg. And they were just like, they just thought I was bullshitting. They just thought I was faking most of the time. Even though, because I would run, but I would run in pain. And best believe I was taking medication, muscle relaxers, or whatever the case, afterwards, because it was just like I was in pain. So then when that got to it, it was just basically the point where I would do that, and it's just like, hold on, give me a sec. Mama, no, right now. Yeah, I lost my train of thought now. Where was I? That's the thing. I can't remember what the hell I was saying now. But that's the thing there with that alone. Just, oh, I did run. I ran. I was in pain. People thought I was faking it, even though I had a tear in my hip when the fucking MRI came back showing I had a tear in my hip, and it was like, oh shit. I was just like, yeah, I was still out working y'all with a fucking tear in my hip, and y'all wanted to give me shit about it. So like I said, it was just like, it got to the point where it's just like, you know what? I need to take care of myself. I need to worry about myself, look out for myself, take care of the stuff I need to get out the military. Need to try to fix my mental health, need to try to fix my body, need to try to fix myself, my situation, prepare myself to being a civilian outside of the military, not dealing with this dumb shit anymore. Cause you can't make it make sense. The stuff don't make sense anymore. It's just like stuff happens, and it's just like you're wondering what's going on, and it's just like trying to figure out what the situation is. What are you doing? Like, nobody's being held accountable. You can't hold people accountable for the stuff, but then you want to hold people that shouldn't be held accountable. You want to take it to a lower level and not take care of the people that are above, that are the ones causing these issues. You don't take care of them. You want to take care of a person that probably didn't know what was going on, or knew what was going on but didn't know any better. But then you want to hit him over the head with the fucking punishment, but the other person, you just let them slide. Um, Germany, for that reason, was crazy. Like, I spent most of it without my family, so that was a big toll on me because I was separated from my family also a good amount of the time. Like, I was there for going on 4 years. My family was there the first year and some because of medical issues. They had to leave Germany. So I didn't have my family for most of that. So the family I had are the same people I'm gonna go see um this weekend, this coming weekend for at a wedding back in Germany. Just to go see them. Those are the people that kept me like kind of sane, or kept me like motivated, or kept me like out the really bad thoughts. Um, and that was just it. Like, that was just me talking just like certain things there. Like, there's more stuff that happened in Germany that it was just like you just didn't want to take part in it. You didn't want to deal with the people. You didn't want to deal with the supposed leadership that cared for you. But all they did was care about themselves. All they did was talk shit behind your back. Nobody had the balls to say anything to your face over there. Um, and it got to the point where, like I said, I didn't care. Once I bought the house I'm living in now, I was just like, I'm out this bitch. I'm done. I'm gonna be gone. I'm not gonna be staying here. I'm gonna be leaving. I'm gonna be going. I'm gonna be doing my own thing, and I'm gonna just go at it that way. I'm not gonna be wasting the time to deal with the situations I'm dealing with, and I'm gonna just head out. It was just like, I'm gonna do what I have to, not to get in trouble, not to do anything stupid, but I'm gonna do what I can. What my job was. I was supposed to leave Germany to go to Missouri, Fort Leonard Wood, because that was supposed to be my next duty station. So I was supposed to go be an instructor, which was something I wanted to do and I asked to do. But it just like the motivation and everything was lost. I didn't want to be in the army anymore after dealing with the stuff that happened in Germany. I was just like, COVID showed you one thing, being in those situations showed you another. Seeing how toxic the army can be, seeing how toxic leaders can be, seeing how no accountability was done. I was just like, I can't do this for the next 10 fucking years. I was like, yeah, I'm a gain rank. But the thing is everybody always wants to say, it was like, oh, if I join the military, I'm going to make that change. I'm going to make that change. I was like, you can make changes, but you can only make changes in your foxhole. That's where you can make the change. You can't change the army as an entirety. You will never change the army as an entirety because you have these locations and these places where it's just like you can't have it. I was like, but we gonna stop this episode here. I'm gonna probably end up splitting these two into to two episodes, just basically to split it to try to change it so that way, we have that split, so it's two different interactions. So we'll leave it at that. That was this. Yeah, because I gotta deal with some stuff. But I appreciate y'all as always. Just Cruz with the Cruise Talks. We will continue doing this. We'll try to see if we can get something done while we're in Germany. Try to get one of our friends out there to talk a bit about the situations. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I appreciate y'all, and we will catch you on the next episode. Peace.